So the main reason I wanted to shoot this video this morning, well, this afternoon, is to speak to this idea that many environmentalists, let's call them environmentalists, speak to about reducing or minimizing your impact. And I say that is utterly backward, that is completely wrong for the following reason. As in, it is the inverse of what we should actually be doing. We being, let's call this group of people ecologically or environmentally concerned citizens. So if you think about it this way, lots of people are mindlessly and unconsciously consuming, and in their unconscious consumption of goods and services, say, they propagate the behavior patterns that themselves contribute to the emergent property that is the superorganism dynamic. Now this is very interesting because pretty much everybody is locked into this superorganism dynamic, and the superorganism is so all-encompassing and so global in its reach that there is no escape. So even if, as an environmentally concerned citizen, you say to yourself, I do not want to contribute to that superorganism dynamic anymore, there actually is no escape, because you can go to the woods and do what you will in the woods, wherever you find them, because wilderness areas are few and far between. But you will inevitably still end up contributing to the superorganism dynamic, because you'll take an axe to the woods, or you'll take a kettle to the woods. All of these things are themselves embedded within the superorganism dynamic. So why is it completely wrong? It's actually backwards. It is the inverse of the correct course of action. Why is it the case that that is the inverse of what should actually be done for ecologically concerned citizens? Because one, there is no escape from the superorganism dynamic, and two, Jevons' paradox. Okay, this is a counterintuitive point, but put simply, it goes like this. Imagine a consumptive process, and now imagine that that consumptive process was made more efficient. You would think to yourself, okay, so then it's going to consume less of the substance it is consuming. And you would be, you know, what's the word? You would be forgiven for thinking that, but you would also be completely wrong. Again, you will have gotten it backwards, because the more efficient a process gets, the more it consumes. This is why it's a paradox, Jevons' paradox, and it's counterintuitive. So now think about the superorganism dynamic and you opting out of it, self-righteously applauding yourself. I've opted out of the superorganism dynamic. I would actually predict, based on this these observations and this theory, that you are doing more harm than good. Because with your voluntarily opting out and handicapping yourself, you open up a vacuum for another human to fill that niche or that space, that vacuum. So now it's not just you contributing to the behavior patterns that themselves propagate the superorganism dynamic. No, it's you plus the person who filled the vacuum that you created by voluntarily escaping to the woods. That's crazy, really. So what's the solution, as if there's one solution to our multifaceted meta crisis that we face? It is ramp up your impact on the world aggressively. This being, of course, assuming you're an ecologically concerned citizen, because there is no escape from the superorganism dynamic. So we might as well get in there, get our hands dirty, and pull as many resources away from the superorganism dynamic by being deep in the weeds of that dynamic, away towards a more, and direct those resources towards a more ecologically compatible world infrastructure and world. That's the idea. So I know that makes sense. I was going to say I hope that makes sense, but I know it makes sense. For the two reasons I said, it's completely backward, the popular notion that you can minimize your impact and thereby be an effective agent of change for the ecological situation we face as humanity today, the global ecological situation we face. That's utterly backward. It is the inverse response of what should actually be done. And Jevons' paradox, you opting out of the superorganism dynamic doesn't mean the superorganism is now less one person. There are many people to go around, and there's a lot of energy to be consumed, and the superorganism will find it, irrespective of your decision to escape to the woods or not. So ramp up your impact on the world aggressively, significantly, and work diligently towards establishing the infrastructure needed for an ecologically compatible world. It is that simple, and yet, in practice, it's very difficult.